Hello everyone. In this video we are going to look at the volumes of prisms and cylinders. We're going to work on page 725 and 726. Now the first thing I want to point out to you is that I'm not going to have the question on the screen. Please use your photocopies, and then I am going to work on this blank space. Okay, so we on page 725 and I'm going to do question number 1. So first things first, the volume of a prism is equal to the base times its height. So our first one is a rectangular prism. I start with my equation. Because it's a rectangle, I'm going to say length times breadth, which is the base, times the height that is given. So that gives me 18 centimeters times 16 centimeters times 8 centimeters. And then I bring up my calculator and I'm going to say 18 times 16 times 8, 2,304 centimeters cubed. Question number 2. Similar situation where we're sitting with a rectangular prism. So I'm saying length times breadth times height. That gives me 8 feet times 6 feet times 2 feet. Calculator. 8 times 6 times 2 equals 96. 96 feet cubed. Question 3. We got a triangular based prism. So the volume is going to be of the triangle. It's going to be half base of the triangle times height of the triangle multiplied by the height of the prism. So that gives me half of. Now the issue that I have with this triangle is that I do not have the height. So I can put it in the base of 5 meters, but I don't have the height. So I'm going to calculate the height of the triangle, and I'm going to use Pythagoras, and I'm going to say side square is equal to hypotenuse squared minus side squared. So that's going to be, sorry, I did square root already. So side is equal to the square root of a hypotenuse squared minus side squared. So that ends up being 13 squared minus 5 squared. I think this is going to be 12. So I'm going to say square root 13 squared minus 5 squared gives me a total of 12. This is also another Pythagorean triplet if you want to memorize it. The triplet is 5, 12, 13. Remember to write Pythagoras as the reason behind all of this. So now I can input this 12 meters over there, and I multiply that by a height of 3 meters. Sorry. A half, hold on, let's clear the screen. A half times 5 times 12 times 3 gives me a total of 90 meters cubed. Question number 4. Again, I've got a triangle, and again in this triangle I do not have the height in my triangle. So half base times height of the triangle times the height of the prism. So let's calculate the height over here. So the height on the triangle is going to be using Pythagoras. I'm going to say side is equal to the square root hypotenuse squared minus side squared. That is the square root of 34 squared minus 16 squared. So S is equal to square root of 34 squared minus 16 squared gives me 30. Okay, S is equal to 30 meters. So here I'm going to put in half. My base is 16. My height is 30. Sorry, the unit is not meters, it's inches. And I multiply that by a height of 22 inches. That gives me half times 16 times 30 times 22, 5208 inches cubed. Question 5. Here we have a cylinder. So the volume of a cylinder is equal to pi r squared h. So in this cylinder, I have everything I need. So the volume is equal to pi 15 millimeters squared multiplied by 23 millimeters. And that gives me pi times 15 squared times 23. 16257.74. 16257.74 millimeters cubed. Question number 6. Now in number 6, I am missing a couple of pieces of information. The first thing that I want to point out this is question 6 thinking, all right? If the diameter is equal to 6 yards, then I know the radius is half of the diameter, it's 3 yards. That's the first thing. Second thing, we need to have the height. Now, the height is going to be part of this triangle. We're going to use Pythagoras. So we're going to say side is equal to the square root of hypotenuse squared minus side squared. And that is equal to the square root of 10 squared minus 6 squared. And that is equal to square root, square root 10 squared minus 6 squared. That's 8. That gives me 8. So that is the height. It's in yards. Okay, this is my height. And this process is called Pythagorean principle. Okay, so now I can do this. Volume is equal to pi r squared h. And that is equal to pi. My r is 3 yards. And I'm going to square that. And my h is equal to 8 yards. And that gives me pi times 3 squared times 8, 226,19. 226,19 yards cubed, not squared, cubed. Okay, question 7. These are obliques. Don't worry about obliques. You're not going to be worried working on obliques. So I'm going to leave it at that. Let's move on to the next page, which is page 726. Question number 1, triangular base prism. So volume is equal to base, and in a triangle, the base is half base times height. And I'm multiplying that by the height of the prism. So let's do the triangle. It's going to be half. The base of my triangle is 10 meters. And my height is unknown. So now I have to calculate my height. I'm going to say full height. Side is equal to the square root of hypotenuse squared minus side squared, which is equal to the square root of 26 squared minus 10 squared, which is equal to Square root of 26 squared minus 10 squared, 24. That's equal to 24 meters. And I'm going to multiply that by the height of 17 meters. And that gives me a half times 10 times 24 times 17 gives me 2040 meters cubed. Question number 2. Again, a triangular prism. Volume is equal to a half base times perpendicular height times the height of the prism, which is equal to a half. Now, the base of this triangle is 5 inches, but I don't have the height. So I am going to use Pythagoras to figure this out. Side is equal to the square root of hypotenuse squared minus side squared. So that's going to be the square root of 5 squared minus 5 squared. Nope, that second 5 is incorrect. That should be 2 comma 5 squared, because the perpendicular is in the middle of that triangle. So now I'm going to say square root. Square root of 5 squared minus 2.5 squared is giving me 4.33. 4.33. So I put that in 4.33 inches, and I multiply that with a height of 9 inches, and that's going to give me half of 5 times 4.33 times 9, which equals to 97.43. 97.43 inches cubed. Question number 3 is a cylinder, and our formula for cylinder is volume is pi r squared h. So this is pi. My diameter is 16, so that means my radius is going to be 8 millimeters. I'm going to square that and multiply it by 17.5 millimeters. Calculator, that gives me pi times 8 squared times 17.5, 3518.58. 3518.58 millimeters cubed. Question 4 is another cylinder. Volume is pi r squared h, which is equal to, now this cylinder is missing the height, and again I've got a diameter. So if my diameter is 7, my radius is going to be 3,5 feet, and I square that. Now I have to calculate my height. Side square, or just side, let's just do side. Side is equal to the square root of hypotenuse squared minus side squared, which is equal to, my hypotenuse is 25 squared minus 7 squared, and that's going to give me square root of 25 squared minus 7 squared, 24. 24. Okay, so that's 24 feet, and that gives me pi times 3.5 times, square that 3.5 times 24, 923.63. 923.63 feet cubed. 5 and 6 are obliques again. So this is the answers to questions 1 through 4 on these 2 pages, volume of prisms and cylinders. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Ask questions if you don't understand. Thank you. Bye-bye.